Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the live session of Never Mind the Buy Box. This afternoon, I am joined by Des. Is it that way? No, it's that way. Hi, Des. How are you?
Hi, I'm very well, thank you. Pleased to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much for jumping on because as I literally established 2 minutes before we went live, this is the first time that Des has actually gone live. So, you know, and it's one of those things that I think people don't realize. It actually takes quite a lot of guts to come on and do this if you've not done it before. There's a lot of it's one of those things, oh, should I what am I going to say? Am I going to run out of things to say and things like that? So always big kudos to anyone that's, happy to come on and, well, basically listen to me talk for an hour, pretty much, more than anything else, with a little bit of contribution from the guest.
I should say as well, these aren't my usual glasses. I've lost my other glasses. So if you see me doing this, it's because I've got the wrong prescription in, but we're all right, I think.
Fair enough. Actually, a little bit of Matt Cromie vibes, those glasses. My husband, very similar to his glasses, actually, yeah. Which, funnily enough, he's actually he's having the laser eye surgery in a few weeks. So he's going to be... Yeah, he's going to be glasses free for the first time in a really, really long time. So looking forward to seeing what the results are going to be that. I mean, he's already said to me, he's already sort of saying, oh, I don't know if I'll be able to drive here. When I'm pretty sure it's like a 20-minute operation, Matt,
I think it is. I've heard it's like people saying it's like someone's washed your eyeballs. Like you wake up and all of a sudden you can see. I've tried contacts, but my wife prefers me with my glasses on. She tells me to put them back on.
This is it. I prefer Matt with his glasses. The kids prefer Matt with his glasses. So for years, we've tried to put him off, but he's just not listening anymore. So yeah, he is going under the surgeon's knife, as it were, in a couple of weeks. So I'll update everyone on that because it's one of those operations that everyone's curious to find out the results, essentially, whether or not it's worth it or whatever. So yeah, we're looking forward to seeing what the results are there. Just quickly, yeah, Rom, no, we're not streaming live on YouTube anymore. We upload it to YouTube afterwards. So we just stream live through the Facebook groups now. Having all of the different groups and the YouTube was difficult to manage all the questions coming in and missing people's comments and things like that. So we decided to do that. Just a quick hello to everyone as well. We've got Jay, we've got Jeff, we've got Aram. Hi, Andrew. Hope you're well. We've got Yanni's joined us as well. So just say hello, guys. Welcome, Jeff. It's his first time going live. So we're not a scary bunch, though, Jeff. We're not going to ask you anything too intrusive. Well, you never know. I can't guarantee, with the comments coming in. But if we get any naughtiness, we're always quick to block them anyway. So hi, everyone. So the reason, we kind of asked you on here today, Des, was I'd actually had quite a few people saying in the group that they wanted to be able to, get some interviews from people that were in the early part of their entrepreneurial journey, as opposed to, we've had 7-figure, 8-figure sellers on here that are maybe 15 years into either an e-commerce journey or entrepreneurial journey, have tried lots of different businesses. But the majority of our audience are probably going to be people who have never had a business before, maybe juggling it with a 9-to-5, may start it for a variety of different reasons, might start out as a side hustle, and then realize the power of everything that's happening, then end up becoming, something that they could potentially look at, transition into at a 9-to-5. So it's really good to have someone on, by your own admission, who is at the beginning of your journey, as it were, and just hearing a little bit of your thoughts about how it's going, where you can see the future going, and what you've experienced so far, essentially.
Yeah, no, sounds good. Really, really happy to be here. It's crazy because even in the short time I've been doing it, so this is my 12th month now, so we're just coming up to the first year. because of my social
Amazon
profile.
anniversary.
Thank you very much. Thank you. But yeah, because of my social profile, people look to me for answers. And sometimes I'm saying, look, you've got to remember, sometimes I'm a beginner. What it's done, when we'll get into this, is that it's enabled me to learn beyond my months helping other people. It's one of those things, isn't it? When you're sharing your knowledge with other people, it makes you more knowledgeable. It kind of cycles like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you know what? When I first got into content creation, I remember listening to someone, it might have been Russell Bromson of ClickFunnels fames.
Yeah.
And he said, you can either teach people or show people in different ways when it comes to, you know, creating content and things like that. You can either do it from an over the shoulder starting, you know, kind of like an overview prospect. You can teach them something with which you're, you know, got a high level of experience. There's lots of different ways to do it. And I think in particular, obviously for anyone, I'm sure there's going to be a few people that actually recognize Des as well. We've already had a couple of people say it. Hayden's joined us as well. He says, fancy seeing you here. Are you like a bad penny, Des? Do you always show up?
I do. I often show up. Yeah, a social media whore, maybe.
Aren't we all? Aren't we all? So
I can't see the names, by the way. It just says Facebook user on my little thing. So if I don't recognize
no, it says
all,
that on mine. I continually tell them to fill out the profile on StreamYard, but none of them do it. They don't listen to me, so I've given up saying it now, to be fair. But yeah, so yeah, great to have you here. And like I said, you chose, we'll come into this a little bit later because, you know, we're jumping way ahead. But for anyone that does recognize Des, you know, he chose to kind of document his starting journey of selling on Amazon, on TikTok, on the social media platforms as a beginner, you know, very transparent. You know, I think there's a few people out there that are beginners that maybe don't try and say that they are beginners. So, and it's more showcasing your journey. So you're doing that alongside running your Amazon FBA business as well as working full time, which is something I really want to dive into a little bit more, because it's one of the, I think it's one of the things that people, if they haven't started yet, might, you know, be a bit, have a little bit of, I suppose, negativity or nervousness about how can I do this all, you know, because obviously you've got family as well, you know, you got the full deck of a busy life, essentially. So before we dive in, yeah, absolutely. Hayden says TikTok bandits for sure. Before we dive in, tell us a little bit about you. So tell us a little bit about, you know, yourself, your life, what you do in your 9 to 5, and kind of what gave you either the push or how did you find out about starting something on Amazon?
Yeah, no, it's a fair question, and it's one that I get naturally. So it all started. My wife and I, we got married on New Year's Eve 2021, and we sort of started having a bit of a chat while we were on our honeymoon up in Edinburgh, just about the way things seemed to be going. Money was getting less and less. What's the word? Less and less sort of grabbable. You know, we had less and less of it to actually spend. Nice things were becoming less and less frequent. I mean, we were almost watching our pennies on honeymoon, which is insane. And we both had good jobs, and we both had the life that we were told to have, because that's what society tells us. We were both educated in university. I've been a public sector worker my whole life, worked hard, did all the things, got the mortgage. Why were we skinned? Something was happening. Someone was letting us down somewhere, because we were doing all the things we were told to do. And then we started realizing slowly that no one was coming to help. Nobody is coming to help, and nobody will come to help. It's on us. So we sat down and went, right, how do we make money? Because there's one thing sitting moaning about your life, but there's another thing doing nothing about it. And that drives me mad in all walks of life. So we went, right, let's fix it. What do we do? So we looked into it, and Claire said, I'm going to do some match betting. I'm going to do some surveys. I'm going to do some eBay selling. And I went, right, I'm going to look into Amazon, because I had a bit of knowledge through a course somewhere, or from YouTube or Facebook, something somewhere just rang a bell in the back of my mind. And I went through it, and I thought, right, I'm going to research it. So I sat a course. It was, you know, Reed, they're like an HR specialist. They were knocking out courses for like £2.50.
Oh, Reed.
Yeah.
I used to work for them. That was my last job. Yeah. I was in recruitment. Yeah, that was my last job.
Right. Well, they do online courses. They sell online
they do,
courses. Yeah. So I did this one, and it was terrible. It was terrible, but it was all about private label. It was, knowing now what I know now, it was a private label thing. And I thought, you know what? That sounds a bit of me. So I started doing research, and then I realised, oh, I haven't got £5,000 to spend on products that I will never see. That's a bit weird. And then I just kind of went down that rabbit hole. But I think this is important. I researched for months and months and months. I did my first TikTok in October, because when I realised what I was going to do, I thought, right, there's no mucking about here. We're going to do it properly. And I did it properly. So I wrote a business plan. I wrote a strategy about what it is I'm going to do. I wrote about the things that I do well. You can probably tell I like talking a bit. So I thought, why don't I use that? And I knew that I could talk in front of a camera as well. So I thought, right, if I'm going to do that, who's my audience? So I sat down and wrote who my audience is. What's my brand going to be? What style of videos am I going to make? And I did it all before I pressed live on anything. I remember in the summer holidays, we went down to Cornwall in the caravan, and the kids were scooting around this caravan park, and I'm sitting there practicing, talking to my phone for videos, just like rehearsing, because I knew when I got home, I was going to go live. And then the Truss and Kwarteng budget of Doom happened. And I thought, you know what?
The what, sorry?
Liz Truss and Kwasi Kwarteng, when they did that mini.
Yes, I remember. Yeah.
It was that. And I looked and I thought, right, this is it. Now's the time. Because the world went crazy like the day after. And I thought, if I'm going to do it, it's got to be today, because now is when I'm most relatable. Because food's gone up, water's gone up, petrol's gone up, energy's gone up. The nice things, you can't have the nice things anymore. And it was an easy message to convey because it was real.
And it was getting worse at that point as well. And you knew it was going to get worse at that point. So I find that really, really interesting, actually, because I've never really heard anyone say that, you know, they've looked into it. They've done a lot of research before they've pulled the trigger. They actually set out a plan. And part of what I was going to ask you, do you set goals? Do you set targets and things like that, which we'll come on and talk a little bit more about the Amazon business in a moment. But it sounds like you almost, you know, went quite far into the future. You looked at potentially what was available, not only with selling on Amazon, but some of the other areas that could be associated with it. And you kind of did it all, not all at once, because obviously by your own admission, you're, like I said, you're still at the start of your journey, but you wanted to get all the trappings kind of in place, as opposed to seeing where it would lead you. I wonder if that is a good reason for your success, especially on the content production side of things, because you had that plan and that goal, you know, and a clear path of where to go, as opposed to just going in with an attitude of, well, it might work, let's see.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I read a book a few years ago. I talk about this book quite a lot as well. I read a book, You Are a Badass, it's called, by Jen Sincero.
I've heard of that, but I've never read it. So yeah,
honestly, yeah, give it a go. I reckon I read it once every year or something. It's amazing, and it properly changed my life back in when I was in my first marriage. And it basically tells you that there isn't a story for your life. It's for you to carve out the story for your life. And it talked about manifesting in a way that I hadn't found so relatable before, because everyone believes in various different things, and it's a case of, well, you don't have to believe in a God, you don't have to believe in a universe, but you do have to believe in your ability to change, and that it will work if you put enough energy out there. And that's not necessarily what I believe, but that's what the book says, if you know what I mean. Yeah. But what I did know is that if you put your plan in place, and I did it with absolute clarity, that if I do this, it's going to work. Even if it takes whatever long. I had my goals, and we'll talk about those, but I knew that my audience was there. I knew that there was a group of people like me in their 40s that work, that do all the things that society tells them to do, that through no fault of their own are skint. And they've never looked at the internet to make money before. Yeah. And I also knew that I needed more than one income stream, because I saw a TikTok, I can't remember who it was, so I want to give him credit, but I can't, where he's put a book and he's put like a cup underneath it, and he's knocked the cup away and the book's falling down. And he said, that's what one income stream does. But put 6 under there and then knock one away. And I thought, you know what? I need 6 income streams. And so I thought, if I do the Amazon selling and the social media stuff, I'll figure out the rest as we go. that was the plan.
Yeah, absolutely. So would you classify yourself as someone who learns on the job, or would you put yourself in the position of, because you said you did a lot of research, first of all. So that's the first part of the question. What would you classify yourself as? And now that you're in that reality, is it better to, you think, learn on the job, or, you know, to do all that kind of research to start with?
Yeah, I love it. That's a really good question. I suppose one of my old jobs, and I want to say this, I'm not this anymore. I was a copper, not anymore. I was a copper once, from what, 2004 to about 2012. And you do the thing where you go to, it was Ashford at the time, but if you're in the Met, you go to Hendon. If you're any like local southern counties, you go to Ashford. And you learn the theory for 3 months, and you learn how to fight people on the playground with wrist locks and things like that. But then you get out on the job and you really learn it. Then the real stuff kicks in. A bit like your driving test, you know, you learn how to drive, but you don't really learn how to drive until you've passed your test. I find that I operate that sort of way. So with Amazon, for example, so I did enough drop shipping research to know that wasn't for me, so I left it and moved on. I did enough Kindle direct publishing, print on demand, all of that gubbins.
Yeah.
But when I looked at Amazon, I knew this is the one. So I learned and learned and learned, but you can't really learn until you get out and you start scanning, can you really? And you can't learn a keeper chart until you read them yourself.
No, absolutely not. And this is a little bit of a kind of arbitrary question as such, but you just said that, you know, you tried drop shipping, you tried I'm a big fan of trying stuff, by the way. I don't see trying something and working out whether it's for you, I don't see as that a failure. I want to try everything. I want to try every chocolate in the box, and, you know, clearly I do. But, you know, I want to know what is my flavor, what works for me, what doesn't work for me. Whereas so many people don't want to try because they're so scared of that level of, you know, failure as such, which I would never call failure. It's all experience, essentially. But you sort of tried those other things. But then when you saw Amazon, you was like, right, this is the one for me. This is going to work. What was it about that? How did you know that?
It was the concept that you had feedback. You would know if it went right or if it went wrong within 3 weeks, if the timing gods and the fulfillment center gods were kind to you. You would know. In everything else, whether it's affiliate marketing, you don't really know if you're doing well until 6 months down the line and all of that time and effort invested. Same with drop shipping, same with private label. So I knew I needed to do it with a small amount of money, and I knew I needed to do it in a way where I could get results quickly enough to keep me motivated. So Kindle direct publishing is a perfect example. I did about 4 low content books. I thought some of them were really good. I did one that was brilliant for a kids football team coach to have a little notebook in his pocket and write down his team and write down it. And I thought, that's perfect. I sold one in about 4 months, but got about 26. But with Amazon, especially starting off with used books, retail arbitrage, online arbitrage, you know whether you've read a product correctly within 3 weeks. And I knew I needed something that would give me a short turnaround in terms of whether I was doing it right or not. And then once you get that first sale, when you think, hang on a minute, this isn't a scam, you know, like all of a sudden social media is actually right on this one.
Yeah. Whether you make any money on the first sale, that's a completely different, you know, a completely different argument. But I think you're absolutely right. And I think you've hit the nail on the head there. It does, especially reselling, especially arbitrage, it can give you exceptionally quick results. And, you know, I just want to clarify for anyone that's kind of new, that's watching this, that we're not talking about, there's a difference between, like I said, making that first sale, whether you make any money or whatever. It's not necessarily, I'm a big fan of letting people know your first 3 to 6 months, you know, don't even think about making any money. Don't even think about making any profit. You need to see the power of the platform and how it works and understand how and what model that you can move into that's going to float your boat and work for you, essentially. So I think you're absolutely right. The power of Amazon does reveal itself a lot quicker than other income streams. And I think it's why it's a very popular model for people to start. I always say it's the Amazon FBA in particular. Arbitrage is a gateway business. What I would call it. It's very, very usual for people for it to be their first, foray into business. Or people that have done it before use it as, an added part of their business, because I don't think there is actually a better starting business than Amazon reselling, because it exposes every single part of business that you need to know as an entrepreneur. It exposes the accounting side of it, the inventory management side of it, not necessarily the advertising side of it, but it depends which part that you want to go into. So it's a really good foundation of base of knowledge. And I've worked with dozens, probably hundreds of people over the years that, they may not be in reselling now, but they might, it may have led them into something else. And I work with people that are still doing, the same business 7 years later. It's a fantastic opportunity business to be able to get into and open your eyes to possibility. So I definitely, back you up with what you're saying there. And thanks for, clarifying that and saying it in a way that I think, people can understand it. It's about, seeing what's possible, in the long term. You've said you're in this for the long term. You're not here to make a quick buck, which unfortunately this business is portrayed as by, across social media, get rich quick scheme and things like that. I always say, if you want to get rich, it's not gonna happen quickly.
No.
On Amazon for sure.
I think I did a post on it last week. You might get rich quickly doing this, but then you might win the lottery, and the chances are about the same.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely. Just going back to the comments, guys, let us know if you've got any questions as we are going through. Oh, Hayden says, me and Des are in a WhatsApp group with Luke, 3 best friends. There we go. And Jay says, that's a bit, very exclusive then. Definitely. So yeah, Hayden says, I guess so. Ray says, manifesting. That is Ray Nation. He is Mr. Manifestation himself, to be perfectly honest. So he is a fantastic example of what you can achieve once you put your mind to it. So we're always really grateful to see Ray. Thanks for dropping on. And then we've got, I haven't seen the comments. I assume it's Sean. I can't see the name. This is such a Sean comment. You only need £500 to start things off, keeping liabilities low. In my opinion, I put in £500 a month wages from my old job, then gave up a year later. So let's cover this. Thanks for that point, nice. Sean, because I have seen more recently people who have kind of poo-pooed influencers or content creators for saying that you can still, in this day and age, start this business on a low budget. And I've seen people get quite nasty with, sort of like saying that's ridiculous. You need $5,000 even to start arbitrage nowadays. But you are kind of putting in the proof, or proof in the pudding, whatever way. Don't know which way. You are proof of that in this day and again, I fully believe you could start this, but you could start this business with £100 if you wanted to, but it's going to take you longer. To grow the business, of course. That's what it comes down to. So once you found Amazon, talk us through how you got started, how much you invested. I know I'm all right asking that because obviously you talk about it on your TikTok anyway as well.
Yeah, of course.
Talk us about what that first part was like once you actually pulled the trigger.
Yeah, it's funny because I did actually start with £100, and that was my goal. It was going to be 100 to 100,000. It was only about 3 weeks in when I realized, oh, bloody hell, my cash flow is going to kill me. I think I need to start with 200. So it was only the cash flow thing. Otherwise, it would have been probably more like a 3-year challenge. And I went into this, and it goes back to the planning beforehand, the business plan. I knew that for the first year at least, I was going to be working really hard and really long for no money. I knew that. it was one of those things. The first year, I think Hayden says it in one of his, first year is learning, second year is earning. I knew that first year was going to be shit. There's just no two ways about it. It was going to be. But yeah, so I knew through my research that a 30% return on any product you scan is realistic. It's not, you know, I wasn't looking for 50% returns. I wasn't looking for anything too crazy. Just anything on a 30% return I was going to buy. So I thought, right, if I take that concept, I knew that I would want to put a 30% return on whatever it is I invest at the start of that month. So that was the plan. When I realised it was £200, I thought, right, let's calculate that. So I took £200 and I thought, what would happen in 24 months if I put 30% on each month going forward? And that turned it into £100,000. And that was what I underpinned my TikTok on. I was the average guy that was starting with £200, and my monthly goal was a 30% growth. And then I could share my monthly results to say whether I hit my 30% or not. That was always the plan. And then I'm sure we're going to go into this, but straight away I had short-term goals, medium-term goals, and long-term goals all baked in to my profile and my business plan. So again, it all comes down to realistic expectations, doesn't it, really? If you're starting with a small amount of money, you know that it's going to take you longer. Yeah. The only time I topped anything up was sort of like the first 3 months or so when the account reserve had 98% of my money. I would lend it to myself through my personal money and then pay it back once Amazon decided to give it up. So realistically, it probably, if I was just doing it Amazon alone, using the money that Amazon came back and forth, it would probably take me more closer to 2.5 years. But because I shortcutted the cash flow issues in that first few months, 2 years is achievable.
Wow, absolutely. And I think what's so cool is the fact that you're transparent about it. You're showing, you know, lifting the lid on it and showing a realistic approach, you know, because let's face it, I mean, I don't want to sound disrespectful in any way to anyone that can't find £200 or £100 to start, because I know, like you quite rightly said, you know, for the last couple of years that things have been getting tighter. You know, there's a lot more month at the end of the money, you know, essentially in most cases, even with 2 full-time working adults in a home with the cost of living crisis, which we're only experiencing, you know, now the big effects of. And, you know, so it is that kind of risk. But this is why I always say, guys, look, if you can find £100 to £500 to start, think about what that type of money represents. What could it buy you in the real world? Okay. For me, £100 to £500. Let's just say the top end, £500. What that could buy me in the real world is like probably 2 or 3 weeks food shopping, which I know is quite important. Obviously, guys, I'm not saying right, nobody eat for 2 weeks and start your business instead. You know, it's you can always find a financial equivalent to X amount of money. You know, if you've got Sky TV, cancel your Sky TV for 3 months or something like that. I think there is always a way to find money to be able to start things. And, you know, can you live without that for 3 to 6 months in order to give it a go? And then the grand scheme of things, if you can stick to that, if you can compound that, have a realistic expectation of, you know, I'm going to have to put the work in and I'm not going to get anything out of it financially, and see where this takes me, because nothing works more in this business than the compounding effect. It's as simple as that. There's no doubt about it. Cindy, absolutely. I'm going to jump in here straight away with that. Clear out your wardrobe on Vinted, you know, sell stuff on eBay to get started. We've all got so much crap in our homes that someone else can, you know, love and put in their cupboard and never see it again for, you know, 3 years. So there's always value and ways to start this business, and then give it a go, essentially. And then if you can equate that money to something like 3 months worth of going out or 3 months worth of Sky TV, then you haven't lost anything if it doesn't work out. What's the worst that is going to happen? Well, actually, the worst that's going to happen is you're going to learn a shitload, and, you know, you're not going to stare at the idiot box for 3 months. So it's only going to be a positive thing. So I think everyone can find that start. The finances to start. It is just about that kind of leap of faith. Essentially, and putting that work in beforehand, doing the research. But where's that balance, Des, between putting a lot of work in, doing your research, having the information to start, and procrastination? Because there's a really fine line between the two.
Yeah, no, I agree. And again, it came down to planning and expectations. Claire and I sat down. Well, we might have just found out we were pregnant. If it wasn't then, it was the month after. Yeah, so we round about that sort of time.
Wow, okay, this is even more.
Yeah,
this is even more money.
Yeah. Can't talk. I've got to work. See you later. But yeah, but yeah, it was just those expectations, right? So plan out your day, plan out your calendar. What is it? What tasks can you set yourself? What's realistic? And then get your habits sorted. I read the Atomic Habits book, was one of the books that I did read. And on that, I realized that if you want to change your life, you need to change your habits. And I talk about this a lot. I stopped watching Breaking Bad, even though I've seen it 5 times. I stopped watching Friends. God knows how many times I've seen all of those. I watched less football than usual. I knew that if I was going to need to improve my life, I needed to be more efficient with it. So I would finish. I mean, usually this computer is usually in a different room because my work computer is here as well, and I don't like to mix the two. But as soon as I finished this job, I came over and started this one. And I gave myself boundaries. I wouldn't work past 9 p.m. so I could sit and have a cup of tea with Claire before we went to bed, And you've got to kind of be disciplined. And the key phrases that keep coming back. I've learned so much about myself over the last year. You're dead right about learning something. Discipline and resilience, they're everything, aren't they? If you don't have either of those two, you're doomed to fail. So you need to make sure that you give yourself time. You need to make sure that you stop at the time you say you're going to stop at, because you want to enjoy it. And I find that sometimes eventually you start resenting it and you think, I don't want to resent this, because if I start resenting this, that's the end of everything. So that's time to close it, have a kip, come back and reevaluate. Yeah.
That is so true. I was watching a video this morning when I'm putting my makeup on and doing my hair. I'm sure you have the same thing, Des. I always like to watch, kind of old courses, training videos or anything like that. That's just going to kind of maximize my time, as opposed to me, I want to listen to something while I'm doing something, enrich my mind, essentially. And I was listening to a chap this morning, and it was about TikTok, actually. And he was talking about TikTok creation. And one thing he said was he works with a lot of content creators. And one thing he said, which, by the way, when I'm not going off track, this can be applied to everything. One thing he says is, yes, it is optimal to make 5 TikTok videos every single day when it comes to, building an audience, doing this, doing that, and whatever he was talking about. Same with Amazon. Yes, it is optimal, to be able to source all day and every day and do this and spend X amount of time on it. He said, but you have to ask yourself 2 things. It's like, one of those things is, are you going to burn out? And are you going to give it all for 3 months? And are you just going to be like, do you know what? I can't do this anymore. I've put so much focus on this, and the realistic, the expectation coming back isn't matching my effort, all this different type of thing. But then he also said, which I actually found more enlightening than the burnout thing, was the level of enjoyment. Was, the more you enjoy doing something, the longer it's going to last. The more, I suppose, what's the word? The more you enjoy it, the longer it's going to be, it's going to have its longevity, essentially, as opposed to feeling like a grind. And he's so right in that respect. I would rather someone spend 30 minutes. I used to say this about prep, where people got, kind of beat down by the prep monster, because no one likes prep. I always stand by the fact, if you say you like it, you're telling fibs. And people still tell me now, they're like, yeah, I like prep. I'm like, okay. And you've got to, it's one of those things. But I would always say to people, I would rather you send 1 box a week than you know, bust a gut, get 10 boxes out, and then do nothing for 2 months. Consistency is key. And I think definitely a level, especially with this business where, let's face it, it can be a grind. It can get you down. There are levels of frustration. Sometimes expectations do not, you know, do not match, you know, what you think they're going to be, or results don't manage expectations, essentially. So it is important to have that balance of enjoyment, of consistency, but also, you know, being realistic in not taking into account, you know, be realistic in the longevity. If you burn out, then you're going to, you know, just kick yourself a few months down the line. And that's when regret kicks in, as far as I'm concerned. Absolutely. Because you've not, because you're only going to give up, you're going to quit. And that's when you do fail. That is the only time when you fail, is when you quit, when you give up. There's no doubt about it.
Definitely. The growth mindset book is so great for this. It really is. So if you've got an external factor like Amazon changed a policy and that's ballsed up a third of your stock, an external force is working against you. Oh, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. And you're not growing. You're going back, and you're just going to go back into the same lane you've been in my point of view, from my perspective, that I've been in for the last 30 years. And then in 20 years' time, I'll look back and go, I was quite good at that. Why did I quit? You know, and that's it. You're screwed.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned 2 key words there, which I think that are so under talked about in this business in particular, but not necessarily just in this business, because I'm talking about the beast that is Amazon and how frustrating that they can be to deal with. But you mentioned 2 words, which were discipline and resilience. And if you are going to need 2 characteristics for Amazon business in particular, those are those 2 character traits I think you absolutely need, and an understanding of what works today may not work tomorrow. What worked last year certainly doesn't work now, and what will work next year may not work in 2 years' time. Essentially, it's an always, you know, Amazon will always move in the goalposts. It's a very fluid business, and if you want to be in it, and you want to be in it for the long term, be prepared to network, get involved, be constantly learning, you know, and really get some good chops around that discipline and resilience, because you're going to need it. If you're a bit flaky, then this isn't going to be for you. It's as simple as that. I know it's harsh words, but at the end of the day, I don't know anyone that is in this, that has been in it for the long term, that has kind of flaky bones, essentially.
No, love it. And I completely agree with networking. Networking has cut 6 months off the journey. I'm so sure of that, because we talk about the 30% goal. I'm averaging about 50 over the course of the 11 months, 12 months. That's through the power of networking. Hayden said it himself. How am I, 11-month seller in a chat group with Hayden and Luke? Networking, purely through networking. And it's learning from those 2, learning from people that have been where I've been. It's invaluable.
Yeah, absolutely. So never, ever, guys, top tip from Des, from myself, never, ever be intimidated to reach out to someone who you might perceive who is in a, you know, a more experienced position as yourself. Most people that are in this kind of space, that are in communities, they are happy to help. You know, at what level they're helpful will obviously depend on, you know, if they offer services and things like that. But you know, I always say, if you are going to reach out to people, 1, be respectful of their time. And you know what? If they are what they say they are, and you can learn from them, invest in yourself as well. But, you know, that's one of the other things that I think people are like, yeah, you can learn it all for free. Of course you can. There's no doubt about it. And, you know, you can go to the School of Amazon Life, which Des has, learn on the job. Absolutely. But there may come a time when you want to learn something specialized, or you want to just get that head start or something like that. Be prepared to invest in yourself, either through knowledge or you know, through networking. There is always got to be a trade-off somewhere. It might cost you financially, it might cost you in terms of time, but you can't expect everything for free. Something is going to cost along the way, and whatever route you choose to go down, obviously, you know, it will have value in it. There's no doubt about it. Just want to quickly jump onto the comments. By the way, this is great. I hope you'll agree. This is really insightful for anyone that's, you know, at that early part of their journey when it comes to selling on Amazon. So Matt Reutz joined us. Greetings from Munich. I thought you were in Berlin. He must have moved on. So he was in the Berlin the last time I looked. He's obviously doing a German road show. He's taking a leaf out of Johnny Smith's book. I say it every week, but I'll have to start playing location roulette with Matt now, because whenever Johnny pops up on a meeting or a live or something like that, he's in a different geographical location. We never know where he's going to be. Nor says, Des, did you share these 6 income streams, or did I miss that bit?
No, I haven't yet. I don't.
No. So when you wrote your plan, did you write out the 6 income streams that you were going to go after, or was that just something you were kind of looking at essentially at the start?
So no, I knew that I was going to go down the social media route, and I knew that that was key to building the brand. Mm-hmm. Transcends, doesn't it? And I knew that it sounds silly, but my business plan was basically to keep my periphery open for opportunities that came as my social media path grew. So I knew that YouTube were going to pay me. That was it. Essentially, it was, I'm going to start a TikTok channel. I'm going to share my journey, and I'm going to look to inspire a community of money-making newbies. That's what I said in post 1. And then I knew that if I got a Facebook group going and I built a YouTube channel, then YouTube would pay me, and then affiliate marketing will come out of the back of that. So that was 3. And then the rest, no, just open your vision and accept what comes.
So it is amazing that you had that foresight from the start. Essentially, that's something that normally comes later once people kind of start selling. So you must have been inspired, you know, to do that and have a level of confidence in yourself. Or I don't know, was it that, or maybe was it, like I said, we keep going back, and I think this is key here. Actually, you keep going back to that business plan you wrote at the start, because I think it's given you clarity and a certain level of direction and confidence to be able to set forward your journey in.
Yeah, definitely, because it put my strategy in place, and it put my audience in place. And once I wrote who my audience were, I realized there was just such a gap. There was such a gap for people like me, and I thought this has to work as long as the message is right. And then the message, all it needed to be was transparent, because exactly like you said, TikTok is just full of people of showing you that you can be rich in a month. So I was thought, right, I've got to be the anti that. So here I am in 2022 saying this won't fix your Christmas, and it probably won't fix your Christmas next year either. But the one after that's going to be amazing. You know, and you just talk them through that way. And you can either be there in 2025 at Christmas time thinking, I'm skinned, or you could have the best one ever. It's on you. So that was ultimately, how I came about that. It was just, and I've got to say as well, I looked at a couple of YouTube sellers, YouTube creators that documented it from the start. So when you look at Hayden knocking out gardening leaflets while he was living with mum, Emma Hamilton's another one. She started on a council estate, and you could see her progress. And as you saw both of them progress, you could see their YouTube numbers getting bigger. And I thought, I can do that. Why not? I'm never going to get this opportunity to start again. So why not document it? Just if nothing else as well, it gives my kids an opportunity to go, this is what Dad did.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have, you know, you've definitely got a level of self-confidence. What bit of advice? Because it's very easy to sit here. You know, I'm a confident person. You're a confident person. We like to talk. We like to do this. If you could give one bit of advice to someone that maybe doesn't have that level of natural confidence in themselves, in their own ability or whatever. You know, I sit here 15 years into business. So of course I've got a level of confidence when it comes to talking about business in general. Why, you know, and obviously it would be very hard sometimes for someone to relate to me because I've been in business for so long. But if somebody is on the peripheral of starting, but they're not feeling as confident as, you know, as maybe someone that has a level of natural confidence, what's the one bit of advice that you would give them?
No, it's a good question. I feel like I should caveat it, really. I've been lucky in my life that I've been a public speaker. Like even at university, it was all about presentations, and presenting whatever it was in front of your group. And then in the police, of course, if I'm presenting to a jury, for example, I was working in economic crime, so I'm presenting complex things to a jury. Next thing you know, in my job, I've become a trainer and a mentor in my job. And I wouldn't say it's come naturally. It's something that I've developed over 20 odd years in my career. I would say is fake it. Fake it. A TikTok's only has to be a minute. You've only got to blag it for a minute. And there are things that you can do to make life easier for yourself. Like I said, I practiced my TikToks before I actually did them. And I got a teleprompter app. So I wrote my scripts, stuck it in a teleprompter. So before when I'm talking to a camera, I was reading, and you just get your delivery sorted. So when you do have to edit, the edit becomes easier because you're reading a script. It depends on how well you can read and how well you can improvise and make it look like you're not reading. But if you
I wouldn't be able to. I'd be like, I wouldn't be able to do that. So
it's amazing, really. But if you are nervous and if you haven't got the confidence, you need to take on the persona of somebody that has. Because let's be honest, everyone on their social media is playing a character. That's not really me on TikTok. It's just the upbeat, optimistic version of me that wants to inspire you. I love
it. I love it. Even the biggest names in life have it. Beyonce, she has Sasha Fierce. Yeah. Whatever. It's that kind of other persona, essentially. Okay, that's cool. I really, really like that. Let's jump onto the comments. Someone said, "What's the TV?" It's this kind of oblong kind of shape thing, moving pictures, people talking, that kind of thing. Tend to get lost in it for an hour or so. So Cindy says 100%. That's why 100%. You need to find the method that you like, and that's why I love bundles and creating. Again, obviously that's more of an advanced level of selling, which obviously is an area I specialize in, teaching people, doing it ourselves, that type of thing, which a lot of people end up coming into that area once they've been through the standard kind of reselling on Amazon. So there's so much opportunity. Please, 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 my biggest bit of advice to anybody, especially in the first year of business, is, just what you're doing now is not the be all and end all. Keep going with it. Keep resilient. Be resilient with it, because I tell you what, you could only literally be one podcast, one live, one Facebook post, one TikTok video from hearing about someone talking about something that it could lead you into. So don't give up, guys. Give it a go. I think those are the two key things. Kind of get on with it. Give it a go. Jump in. We've established, one, you can do it for, little kind of finances. Des is a clear example of that. And two, we've established that you're not really going to lose anything, certainly until I don't want to get into, because I know people do lose money in this business, through various different lending and doing things on credit cards. I'm not talking about that, guys. I'm talking about give it a go at the start, in the sense that you're not going to lose anything, because the stock that you've bought has always got a tangible value. You'll always be able to sell it. So in the time when you invest that money to when you make, your first sales, that's the time when you need to have that, that attitude of, I'm not going to lose anything, essentially, because you just need to see that first kind of few sales, as Des did, to sort of show you what is possible. And then where you go, if you get an Amex after that and, run 100 grand worth of debt, that's on you guys, essentially. But, just that keeping the faith bit, that's the bit at the start. Where are we? Yeah, Sean says, Sean, do you know what? And there's always different ways to do it. This is what I love about this business. When people sort of say, oh, will it get saturated? You do this. I can honestly say, I do not know one person who does this business exactly the same as someone else. And I am very fortunate enough to know a lot of people in this space, talk to a lot of people in this space, work a lot of people in this space. And there is not one person that does it exactly the same as someone else. So how can it ever get saturated in that respect?
It's funny, isn't it? I talk about this as well. when people come to me and say, can you tell me what it is you do? And I do a mentoring thing. I say to them, I'm not going to teach you a DES method because it doesn't exist. You have to, I'm going to teach you the processes. And this is the thing with Amazon, isn't it? You break the processes down. They're all fairly simple. You don't really need training, but a good mentor will give you the determination, the resilience, and that human connection that will help you through anything. And I find that what we say is, look, we're going to give you the autonomy for you to find your own method, because exactly like you said, Nat, I completely agree.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything that we sell, you know, at what would be considered you know, a more advanced level has all been developed from, you know, either other people's strategies or strategies that we've looked at and adapted ourselves. You know, you have to be able to do it your own way as well. What works for me may not work for you. What works for you may not work for Cindy, may not work for Sean. You know, you have to do it yourself, but it comes down to action. As Sean constantly reminds us, massive action. That is what is needed to get going. So I think those are the two key things, you know, taking action and then kind of keeping the faith and having that understanding of not giving up, you know, starting and don't give up. You know, those are the two key things that I wanted to kind of portray to anyone who maybe is at the start of this journey, essentially. Sean talks about his kind of prepped journey there. Cindy says, it's a skill that I wish I had, public speaking. It scares the bejesus out of me. I think, like, literally, I remember reading or hearing about it somewhere, like there are a large percentage of the world who fear public speaking more than death, which is pretty dramatic, you know, when you think about it, essentially. But yeah, that I don't personally believe that statistic. You know, I'd rather get up and you know, give a speech than die. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've got another public speaker there. Sorry guys, I don't know the names. It's just coming up as Facebook user. So gosh, I could talk to you all day, Des. Literally, where has this hour gone? But one of the, I know it's crazy on the Amazon side of things. So just for anyone, like I said, you know, we've talked about getting started. We've talked about the budget you've used, the plan that you've put in place, you know, keeping that discipline and resilience. You're using the compounding effect. You're not in this for a quick buck. You're in it for a long-term, you know, kind of goal. So the one thing I want to talk about, obviously, which is what this video was entitled, is that balancing that 9 to 5. Is it because you had realistic goals and you have this kind of business plan to work towards, that you are able to balance your 9 to 5 with at the same time? Because I think one of the things that people really worry about, if they're going to start this as a side hustle, essentially, are they going to have the time? Are they going to have the focus? You know, and all these different things. Is it going to impact my job? Is it going to impact my family? Just talk to us a little bit about how you handle that balance in your life.
No, it's a fair question as well. So the best thing I can do really is I completely separate the two. I feel like I've been living a double life, and we talk about resilience. The biggest struggles I have mentally is maintaining that double life.
Yeah.
My daughter, she had a brownies thing, and she said, "Oh, look, we got to ask mummy and daddy what they do for a living." I went, "I can't tell you. I don't know at the moment whether I'm a civil servant or whether I'm a Amazon seller, content creator." But she's brownies, so I said content creator because that's more interesting for kids. They don't care what civil servants are.
Influencer.
Yeah. I think Hayden was the first person to refer to me as a creator. I went, "Oh, don't like that."
I like that. It sounds fancy. I will just say really quickly, it's so funny. I love hearing that. It's so refreshing, because one of my best friends, who I've known for 25 years, we were talking about some stuff to do with work the other day, and I can't remember what it was. Oh yeah, it was when I was invited to go somewhere, and I was telling my friends about it, and it was work related, and on the Amazon side, obviously. And she goes, "Oh, that's amazing, Nat. Well done. Really, really pleased for you." And then in brackets it said, "I still don't know what you do, though." You know, so always be prepared for that. It's hard to describe what we do, right?
It is. It is. Yeah, especially my dad. He hasn't got a clue, bless him. But anyway, right. So yeah, what I do is, like I say, this computer's in the other room. When I do my day job, I focus on my day job because I take pride that they don't know yet what I'm doing. It's crazy that I'm like a mini celebrity over here on TikTok and my Facebook group, but my work don't know. I'm going to record when I do hand in my notice eventually, because honestly, just the faces, I can't wait to see their faces. But so yeah, I take pride that they haven't said to me, "You're distracted." They haven't noticed, which is great. And I think the other important thing is when you do build your network, that you do work with people that get it. You know, I'm so lucky that the people that I've created connections with, they all understand. You know, they understand if they want to see me, they've got to come down to Brighton, because there's no way I can go anywhere with 4 kids and a full-time job. I've got a business partner now who, again, understands it.
That's what I say to the other guys. If you want to see me, come to Bournemouth. It's as simple as that.
That's it. Yeah, because it's impossible. You might get a half hour, but luckily, I say, when you set your expectations out, and if people say, "Oh, you're not in touch very much," you can go, "Well, I did actually tell you." But it's a tricky one. It's a tricky one, and it feels like these last 4 months have gone so well. All of a sudden, I'm thinking, bloody hell, I don't know if I can maintain these levels on both of my lives for too much longer. So I might have to reevaluate. Okay,
that's interesting. So whoever said that, Chandler Bing scenario, that is exactly the reference that my friend used. She said, "You're the Chandler of the group. No one knows. No one knows what you do." Exactly. So get out the rat race. You know, that's one of the things. So that was one of the things that I was going to ask you, Des. So you've already said that you're in this for the long term. Things are going really well. Maybe they've exceeded your expectations, but you had this plan, you know, kind of 1 year, 2 year, 3 year kind of plan. But now things have been going really well the last few months. You might have to reevaluate things. So how have you approached that? Do you look at it with trepidation? Do you look at it with excitement and think, right, okay, I'm going to have to reevaluate? Or does it scare the bejesus out of you?
Yeah,
you know,
it scares me.
One is it?
Yeah, it does. It scares me because the only thing that can give is my day job. Yeah. Because what I'm building, Amazon stuff, that's not going away. And that is the answer to our problems. So there is no way I'm scaling this back. If something has to give, it has to be the day job, and I'll do it properly. It's one of the beautiful things about being a public sector. If I say to them, "I want to do 4 days a week," they'll go, "Yeah, that's fine," and it's not a problem. So
you'll probably wind back your.
I should imagine. So Claire is on maternity, and one of our goals, when I wrote this down and did our goals, it was when we found out we were pregnant. It was right after your maternity finishes, I'd love to give you the option whether you want to go back to work or not. No, it's not the 1950s. You're not working. You can look after the house. I'm not doing that. She can have the option.
By the way, yeah, guys, you know, Des is absolutely right. Matt loves sending me out to work. He loves it. He's a modern man. Loves it. He's like, "No, you go out and earn, baby. Go for it."
And then, yeah, I would quit my job by the end of 2024. It's looking like I might be able to get out sooner than that. But again, it'll be a gradual scaling back. So Claire can take on more things. Now the baby's less and less, you know, progressively, slowly, less dependent on her. Like I say, I've got my business partner. When I started, I think this was one of the things I was very naive on, that is that I just assumed once I had more money in my pocket, I could outsource everything and then I can just do everything. But it's amazing with success gets this obsession, doesn't it, really? That you want more of it. So I'm putting in more hours now. Yeah,
it's very addictive. It can go one of two ways, I think. You can get that kind of a addictive thing with it. And I think sometimes you do have to be careful with the addiction side, because it can fuel you to make bad decisions. So you know, sorry, not bad decisions, or decisions that are not right for you at that point in your business. So I think when you've got goals and when you've got benchmarks and when you've got targets to work towards, a business plan, however you want to do it, whether you work to a schedule, whether you do this, having some kind of system that you are accountable to, I think really keeps you on track in making your decisions. And like you've said, if something ends up coming up a lot quicker than you've anticipated, do you know what, guys? Fantastic. Reevaluate. That's what actually happens. Don't say, wow, I'm going to have to, you know, oh, you know, yay me, I'm doing really well, but, you know, I've got to stick to that plan. It's okay. You can change the plan, providing you're doing it for the right reasons at the right point, you know, in your life. And I would actually say that is kind of a key factor, and something that entrepreneurs in particular are able to do, is to be adaptable and to evolve different situations, because we never know what's around the corner. You know, like I said, if I win the Amaze house, you know, that I enter every single month, you know, it's one of those things, whether or not I'm going to be doing this. No, I would always do this. I would always do this, you know, for sure. There's no doubt.
Just with a nicer view. Yeah.
Just with a nicer, I wouldn't need to blur the background, essentially, which, by the way, my office is still being decorated. Someone said to me a couple of weeks ago, can you get rid of the blur? It's making me feel sick. And I was like, yeah, but I can't show you what it looks like behind, because we're in a massive clear out stage. As soon as it's looking fancy and nice, then I'll unblur it for sure. Oh, look, here we go. Matt Cromie piping up. He says, where's my weekly allowance? Yeah, that'll be good. That'll be good. So, yeah, sorry, I went off track there. So obviously that's fantastic. Expectations are different. One thing quickly, actually, that we haven't talked about on the Amazon selling side of things before we wrap up, because as I said, I really wanted this session to be about for people that haven't started, or have started and are in the early part of their journey, and you know, some of the things that they can work towards. In terms of the actual Amazon business, what's your setup there? Because you said about, obviously, because like I said, you've got the balance, the full-time job, 4 kids, wife, family, you know, yes, you don't, we've established you don't leave Brighton, but apart, you know, apart from that, what is the setup in the business? Is it predominantly outsourced, or do you do things in-house? And what's the plan with that over the next 12 months?
Yeah. So where I am currently, and I think this is one of the reasons why everything's gone so well for the last 3-4 months, because back in May, June, I met who is now my business partner, and he is a 6-year experienced full-time seller, runs a prep center, lots of good things, got a team of VAs. So one of the deals really, and he doesn't, again, not the biggest public speaker. So it was a case of, right, I've got a skill set, he's got a skill set, let's make this work. So what's been really lovely is that I can now outsource my prep. I can share his team of VAs. And at the same point, he's helped come on board with my mentor program to give that a bit of kudos, because yes, I've got the following, but I haven't got the experience. So what I can do is do the beginner stuff, and he's got the advanced stuff. So we sort of merged our mentoring capability. And at the same point, he's helped me massively increase my online arbitrage. I still do the odd used book and the odd retail thing. So I got that for a £5 the other day. Don't tell anyone. Oh, nice. And I've got some old books as well. So I still keep my fingers in pies, because if you're training people and Amazon changes so much, you want to keep your finger on the button, don't you? Yeah. But the online stuff, yeah. But I've got a couple of bundles in place at the moment, and we are dipping our toe into wholesale before Q4. So we're going live this month on our wholesale enterprise. So that's what we're doing at the moment. Yeah,
that sounds amazing. So lots of exciting things to happen. But again, you know, obviously coming up to your 1-year Amazon anniversary. So it's something that, you know, you're excited about the future. You can see the longevity in Amazon in particular, obviously, because, you know, we're speaking to predominantly Amazon sellers. What would you say to, as a kind of final thing to say for anyone who's watching this, which, by the way, we've managed to keep our numbers all the way through. I think everyone's riveted, hopefully, or they've just kind of left it on and left the room. I don't know. Sometimes I do that. But what would you say to anyone who is ready to take things either to the next level, get started? You know, if you could speak to yourself from 12 months ago, what would you say to yourself now? Yeah,
good question. Yeah, build a time machine and go back to pre-COVID. That would have been amazing. But it's one of those, isn't it? It's tricky because I started with the multi-income thing in mind. But in terms of Amazon, I would have started with more than £200. I would have done exactly like everyone said. I probably would have sold more tat to build up to about 500 quid. I can't remember who said it, but they were dead right. I think 500 quid.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, 500 quid is the sweet spot, definitely. As I would have gone through the challenge and as the social numbers grew, I would have said no more often. You get an awful lot of opportunities. As success comes, you get an awful lot of opportunities. And I think it was Hayden that said distractions are sometimes disguised as opportunities. And I think that's very true as well. Ultimately, the best advice I can give, and we keep coming back to this, is do your research, but give yourself a timeline. So say, I'm going to give myself 2 months to research. And we're coming to Q4, so everyone's going to be itching to get started, aren't they? But give yourself a couple of months to get started. Research as much as you can, but make sure you've got a go date that you stick to. And write your plan out. It doesn't matter if you're just copying everyone else and going on to a Discord to find leads. It doesn't matter. You still need to separate yourself from everyone else. You still need to identify what it is that makes you good at whatever it is you do and how you can implement that to whatever strategy you've got, even if it is starting on arbitrage, because eventually you're going to want to stamp your personality on whatever it is you do. So the best advice I could give, and the thing that I'm proudest of really, is that I actually had a plan before I went live.
I love that. So get started, get a plan, get started, even if it's a bit of a me too. I mean, me too in the good way, not the other way, not the other me too way. God, you know, not that one. We don't endorse that here. Or never mind the buy box. Even if it's a bit of a me too, you know, just copying what other people are doing, you know, that type of thing. Using that to discover the processes, to see how the business works and things like that. And then 3, 6, 12 months down the line, that's when you can really develop more of an understanding and bring some individuality to the business.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. I think that's absolutely key. And I think it's completely spot on. Again, I think this might be Sean. Sorry, I'm not logged into the right thing, so I think it might be Sean, but whoever it is, the mystery person, I still do RA, but only do RA in the company to make some good profit in RA. Company buys my meal expenses. Yeah, this is Sean. I never pay for food personally. As you get loyalty points, you can use it for food and drinks when I'm at home, and even give drinks to team members. Absolutely. A really, really under talked about part of this business is the benefits of, you know, what it can bring as well. It brings lots of life, you know, it brings lots of nice things. You know, I've been saying I'm going to do a video on it for ages, but, you know, because of this business, because of reselling on Amazon themselves, not even bundles, guys, reselling on Amazon ourselves, we have bought you know, business class tickets to Florida next year because of that. Okay, so it gives you some really nice things to be able to look towards and goals to set yourself in life as well. Like I said, you have to look at this business like a gateway business, you know, and then once you walk through that gate, where it takes you is completely up to you. That's the most important thing, but you got to walk through it.
Yeah, agreed. Our Boots Advantage points are going to pay for Christmas this year.
Yeah, spend them. But by the way, guys, don't save up your Boots points. Make sure you spend them as you go, because they will get taken probably at some point. So yeah, please make sure we do that. I've seen enough people that happen to. I lost about 300 quid probably about 2 months ago, something like that. I know. You know, like I said, I always say, it's one of those things that even with experience, you still make mistakes and things like that. It was on an old card I forgot about. I tried to use it. I tried to buy some, nice expensive perfume, and they were like, nope. Not having that. Not having that. I actually tried to order like £300 worth in one go. And then they shut it down. They cut me off completely. So
I'm writing this down, I'm writing this down. This is important stuff.
Yeah, here we go. There we go. I think that's Sean. Don't save points. Don't save points. Spend them. They're a bonus, so you can own. You're never guaranteed them. If they take them away and you've built up loads, then you've only got yourself to blame for it. Spend those points for sure.
The other tip that I can give you in that: buy a load of these little phone-sized notebooks.
I've got some of those. I've got some of those.
You never know when that next idea is popping up. It's usually when you're driving or you're in the shower. So just have one and a pen and write stuff down. Definitely.
Even share capital and tap points by giving vouchers monthly to team members too, as well. Do you know what I find? This business makes you really generous. It makes you a really generous person. I've talked about this on previous training, things like that, where it literally, when we were in the UK reselling side of the business a few years ago, literally we always used to give for like birthday parties and things like that. They were returns, but nothing wrong with them, maybe just a dent in the box or something like that. But we were able to give like a 30-40 pound gift, and we would look super generous. And then I'd always hand it over to the parent, and I'd say, oh, I'm really sorry, Max just sat on it in the car, there's probably a dent in the box, kind of thing, as I'm handing it over and doing it. So it does make you look like a super generous person for sure. So even if you don't make any money, you'll be well loved. That's the bonus, definitely.
But it does. I don't know why. It feels like you've unlocked a secret and you want to share it with people, doesn't it? That's kind of how it feels. But anyway.
Exactly. For the people that actually take interest and know what you want to do, essentially, like I said, we got that whole Chandler Bing thing where no one knows. I've given up trying to tell people what I do, because I find the majority of people, because like you always think, people think, oh, they may not understand what I do, but it's not that. They're not interested. And I'm very, very good in person at being able to tell whether I'm boring someone or not. And so I've literally given up in trying to tell people. I'm like, what did you do? Sell on Amazon. That's it. If they ask a bit more about it, I'll tell them a bit more. If they don't, people love talking about themselves, I think, more than anything else. So I just sort of listen instead. It's the way to go. So, and then obviously less people were selling on Amazon anyway as well, so it's always a bonus. Right, now we always do, like I said, time has absolutely flown by, and it's been absolutely amazing, Des. Obviously we know that you're documenting your seller journey as you as you go along, so it's kind of shameless plug time for anyone that's watching this now, or anyone that's going to be watching the replay in the future on Nevermind the Buy Box YouTube channel. Please, oh, look at that. Hello.
Cindy, you superstar.
Cindy is super mod. Like I said, we are going to rename Cindy. We talked about it in the Hive. We're going to rename her. I think it is Robo Cindy T1000, something like that, because Cindy's just on it. Thank you. Really appreciate that. This is Des's YouTube channel, but you've got your TikTok as well. So, just throw it out there. Give us all your links. Give us all where anyone can find you and follow you.
Okay, yeah. So the biggest audience we got at the moment is on TikTok. What we at, nearly just under 70,000 on there. But the Facebook group we've got.
Really?
I know.
Well, I've seen your TikTok, but I watch people's videos. I don't go in and see like how many.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
We got just shy of 6,000 in our Facebook group as well. The numbers are just insane. It's so humbling, that it really is. But I've launched my podcast in this last month or so. I think this is episode 6 coming out, which comes out each Thursday. It's all in my link tree in somewhere. Probably TikTok's probably the easiest place to branch out to it. But yeah, come and join along and come and follow the journey. All being well, if you find me this time next year, there's some other challenge that I've got to figure out, because 100 grand would be in the bank, but we need to figure out the rest.
Awesome. Awesome. I love it. So here we go. We've got the links coming in. So it is called Goodbye Poor, Hello Rich.
That's me. Yeah. Yeah. That's it.
And you
and
are the man
podcast
behind that.
I am. Yeah, I am. It's all a branding thing, but and the podcast is the 200 to 100,000 pound challenge podcast.
Love it. Love it. So yeah, if anyone wants to connect with Des or, you know, follow him, follow the journey, I'm sure you'll agree it will definitely be valuable. You know, as your insight has been on this for sure. He's everywhere. Absolutely. Des designated social media, you know. Oh, do you know what? I feel there's a bit of a missed opportunity with the Des name. Like, Destination FBA.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I've got to say, though, never mind the buy box is probably my favorite name for a YouTube Facebook thing. It's perfect. It's perfect.
I can't even claim credit in the previous group that I was working in. We kind of put it out there. Someone actually suggested it as a joke. It was actually Stuart who suggested it as a joke. And we were like, actually, that's kind of funny. So it's a double meaning, essentially. And do you know what was funny when Nevermind the Buzzcocks came back onto TV recently, and you know you get like a big banner that comes up on your Sky TV or something like that, and it came up, and one of my kids, I think it was my son, said, "Mummy, they've named that, and it's just like your YouTube, and they've copied you." I was like, "Yeah, I know." You know, it's like, how dare they? I might sue them, kind of thing. And then I did tell him a little bit later, and I was like, no, that was kind of around before then. I thought it was finished. So we thought we would go with that instead. So yeah. So yeah, we've got the links there. We'll put them on the YouTube video as well. So just quick YouTube kind of whatever you're supposed to do. I'm like the worst YouTuber in the world, but you know, if you have not already, please make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a like, leave a comment, do whatever you're supposed to do. We're always putting new content's come on the channel over the coming weeks. So next week, guys, we are back now that I'm back from holiday and I've got no more holidays for the rest of the year. Boo. We've got a good stream of guests coming on. So next week, Al from SAS of Seller Amp fame is going to be joining us and talking to us about everything that's been going on in his life over the last few years, and obviously the software that he's built. So he's going to be joining us next week. And Al is someone that's been in business forever, has, you know, lots of different skill sets and a wealth of information when it comes to business. So it's definitely the one that's going to be worthwhile tuning in for. So we hope we see everyone next week. Des, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. It's been really insightful, and hopefully, you know, as I'm sure they absolutely will be, anyone that's watching this that's at the start of their kind of Amazon selling journey, I know will be inspired. And what's interesting is for the people that will watch this video in the future, you will have someone that comes back to you at some point, either, well, you know, through the content that you're already creating, that said, I remember the time when I saw you on that video and you inspired me to start, and now I'm earning X amount. That to come is the best feeling than you can ever possibly imagine. So, and I know there will be a wealth of people that will be coming to that for you, for sure.
Thank you. Honestly, I've really enjoyed it now. Yeah, invite me back on whenever you want. No problems at all. And come on to the podcast as well if you fancy it.
I will. I do. Do you know, it's funny. I'm used to, like, I think Hayden was the first person I actually went on his live, and it felt so weird to be on the other side of it. And, you know, I almost found myself going into presenter mode. But yeah, absolutely. I love it. I love, like you, I'm sure people know this, I'm a talker, so I love talking about business. I love finding like-minded people, you know, different areas. I can talk about it until the cows come home. So yeah, I would love to. I'd love to come to Destination Oh no, sorry, missed opportunity there.
Missed opportunity is too late.
I know, I'm not gonna lie, too late, unfortunately.
People thought my name was Rich for months, by the way, but yeah, never mind.
Oh really?
Yeah, because I'm good by Paul Hello Rich. They thought I was rich. I'm not that clever. That wasn't working that way. But never mind.
Brilliant. I love it. Okay, I'm gonna have to call you Rich next time we speak. Right, guys, thank you so much. I'm sure you'll agree. It's been fantastic. Lots of gold nuggets for for anyone at any point during their journey as well. I think, regardless of how much experience you've got when it comes to business, there's always something new to be learned. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. So please connect with Des and follow him on his journey. I'm really, really keen to watch, those results develop over the next 12 to 24 months. And we'll definitely have you back on to update us after Q4. As Sean said, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be a good one this year, Q4. I can feel it in my waters a little bit. So yeah, that's going to be a good one. So I will see you with Al next week, guys. 1 p.m. next Tuesday. I'll see you then. Des, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, Nat.
Take care, everyone. Bye.